Hey guys, let's do the homework together for the 4-4 section, factoring trinomials, day 2. Just do the front page, just do 1 through 12, just in case extra. I'm going to do the odds with you. So let's start with number 1, same process. I'm going to do the box factoring method. So first part in our box, remember our polynomial, this is A, this is B, this is C. So the first section of our box is always A, so 3x squared. The last is always C, so 2y squared. When we do the diagonals, we need to figure out the factors of A times C that when we add together equal B, right? So in this case, B is 7xy, and A times C is 6x squared y squared. Don't let those extra variables throw you. It's just one extra little element to this. We're still just dealing with the number first. So what factors of 6 when added together give us 7? Well, 6 and 1. 6 times 1 is 6, and 6 plus 1 is 7. So when we do 6, now we need to account for our variables, right? 6xy times 1xy. Well, when we multiply them together, that gives us 6x squared y squared. And when we add them together, it gives us 7xy. So here's our correct factors. So 6xy and just regular xy. Okay, so let's fill out the outside of our box now. No x and x, but where does that 3 go? Let's follow our column and our row to see if we can tell. So down here, it's just xy. So we know the 3 doesn't go there. Across on our row, well, 3 is a factor of 6, so we know that that's where it goes. 3x. Let's go ahead and keep going with this row. What times 3x gives me 6xy? 2y. 2 times 3 is 6. X times y is xy. There we go. Now let's go ahead and do the column. X, what times x gives me xy? X times y gives me xy. Now let's check. 2y times y is 2y squared. So we know we did it right. All right. So my two binomials are my top and the side, right? So x plus 2y times 3x plus y. And to check yourself, you can always FOIL these together, combine terms, see if you get your original polynomial. All right, let's check out number 3. Here's my A, here's my B, here's my C. So sum to B, right? Which in this case is negative 3UB. Product, A times C. 5u squared times negative 2v squared. Well, 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. And u squared times v squared is just u squared v squared. All right, so let's find the products. Let's deal with the number first, okay? What factors of negative 10 when added together give us negative 3? Our product is a negative, right? So that means our factors, we need to have a negative and a positive. Negative 5 and a positive 2. When we multiply them together, we get negative 10, and when we add them, we get negative 3. Cool. Now let's deal with the variables. We need u, v there, and a u and a v there. Ta-da, that's it. Negative 5uv plus 2uv, negative 3uv. And when we multiply them together, we get negative 10u squared v squared. A goes in the first one, 5u squared. And our last one, negative 2v squared. Okay. And now I know that these are my diagonals, right? I've got negative 5uv and 2uv. Okay, let's go ahead and expand out, see what times what gives me 5u squared. Well, goes here and a U goes here. Let's figure out where our 5 goes. So let's look and see the factors further along the line and see where that 5 would go. Well, 5 isn't going to go up here because I can't multiply something to 5 to get that 2. It goes out here. All right, let's keep going with that row. 5u, what times 5u gives me negative 5uv? Well, I need a negative 1, and there's a uv here. This just has a u. That means I okay. So let's look to our column now. What times u gives me 2uv? Well, I need a 2, and I also need v. 2v times u gives me 2uv. Now let's check our last box. 2v times negative 1v is negative 2v squared. Hey, I did it right. All right, so here are my 2 binomials. I've got u minus v and 5u plus 2v. There we go. All right, let's do number 5. Here's my A, B, and C, right? So I need to sum to negative 8CD. A product is A times C, 5C squared times, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. 3C squared times 5D squared. Well, 3 times 5 is 15. And C squared times D squared is just C squared, D squared. We can't multiply those together. They're just random variables. All right. So what factors of 15 give me negative 8? I've got a positive product and a negative sum. That's a dead giveaway that I'm going to be multiplying 2 negative numbers together. Negative 5 and negative 3. When I multiply them together, they give me a positive 15. And when I add them, they give me negative 8. Great, I got it. Now let's deal with those variables. A C and a D. Boop, goes to each one. All right, now let's fill in our box. A goes in my first spot, 3C squared. C goes in my last spot, 5D squared. That's a weird looking 5. Let's do our diagonals with our factors here. So negative 5CD, negative 3CD. All right, let's find our binomials. I know a C goes here and a C goes here. Where does that 3 go? Doesn't go there. It goes there. Okay, so what times 3C gives me negative 3CD? I know I need a negative 1, and I also need a D. So negative D. Okay, let's do this. What times C gives me negative 5CD? Well, I need a negative 5, and I need a D. Okay, so let's use this last box to check. Negative 5 times negative 1 is positive 5. D times D is D squared. I did it right. Okay, here are my binomials. 3C minus 5D times C minus D. There we go. All right, let's do number 7. A, B, and C. Sum to 11 GM. Product A times C. 3 times 6 is 18. M squared, G squared. What are factors of 18 that when added together get 11? 9 and 2. 9 and 2. And we need a G and an M on each one. Okay, let's fill out our box. First spot is A, 3M squared. Last spot is C, 6G squared. We fill in our diagonals with our factors. 9GM, 2GN. All right, let's fill out the outside. I know I need an M here and an M here. Where does that 3 go? 3 isn't a factor of 2, but it is a factor of 9. So it goes out here. Okay, what times 3M gives me 9GM? 3 times 3 is 9, and G times N is GM. All right, let's do this piece. What times M gives me 2G? G times N gives me 2GM. Let's look in our last spot. 2 times 3 is 6, and g times g is g squared. There we go. I did it. Plus. So m plus 3g times 3m plus 2g. There we go. Number 9. Here's my A, there's my B, there's my C. Sum to my B, which is xy. Product A times C. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. X squared, y squared. Okay, now we have a negative product. So that means I know I'm going to need a negative times a positive. So what factors of negative 6 give me a 1, right? Because there's nothing there. That means our automatic coefficient is a 1. Well, 3 and 2. A positive 3 and a negative 2, right? Because this is a positive 1 xy. So there's my factors. I need an x and a y on each one. There we go. So my first box is A, which is 2x squared. My last box is C, negative 3y squared. And then my diagonals fill my factors, 3xy. It doesn't matter which 2xy. All right, let's start working on the outside of my box here. I know I need an x and an x. Where does my 2 go? Not there, there. All right, so what times 2x gives me negative 2xy? Negative, and I need a y. All right, what times x gives me 3xy? I need 3. Oops, and I need a y. Okay, I actually need a y. All right, let's check our last box. Negative y times 3y. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. Y times y is y squared. I did it. Go. X minus y times 2x plus 3y. All right, let's do this last one all squunched up at the bottom. Here's my A, here's my B, here's my C. Sum to my B, which is negative 25fg. Product A times C. 9 times negative 6 is negative 54. And f squared, g squared. All right. What are some factors of negative 54 that give me negative 25? 27 and 2. And this is a big old negative. So negative 27 and positive 2. When I add negative 27 and 2, I get negative 25. And when I multiply them together, I get negative 54. Now I just need to spread out my variables. F and G go to each one. Great, let's fill out the box. First spot goes A, 9f squared. Then my factors go here, negative 27fg and 2fg. Find our binomials. So I know f goes here and f goes here. There's lots of factors of 9, right? Well, I say lots. It's just a couple. There's 9 and 1 and then 3 and 3. We need to figure out what goes where. Well, 2, 9 isn't a factor of 2 and neither is 3. So that means it's not going to break up into 3 times 3. It's going to be 9 times 1. And since the 9 is not going to go in this column, it has to go in the row. So what times 9f gives me negative 27fg? Well, 9 times negative 3 is 27, and f times g is fg. All right, let's fill this one out. What times f gives me 2fg? 2g. I need a 2 and I need a g. So let's check the last box to check. 2g times negative 3g. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, and g times g is g squared. We did it. There's my binomials. F minus 3g times 9f plus 2g. Here we go, we did it. Yay. All right, if you guys want any help, don't let these extra variables fool you or confuse you. It's just one extra element. We can totally do that. Let me know if you have any questions or if you want a person-to-person Zoom tutorial. I don't mind. Bye, guys.